Good, how are you?
Good, excellent. You have some questions.
Actually, I saw that there was going to be construction that they seem to have postponed. They were going to shut this off. Are you guys you're not going to move this, are you? You're not moving it anywhere, are you?
Oh, the inspection area?
Yeah.
No,
okay.
No, we're not planning.
Okay. All right, cool. Because it was weird because it said it was going to be closed off, and I was like, well, how are they going to do the inspection? And then the signs disappeared. It said it was going to be through the 22nd through the 24th, and then the signs disappeared.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We're trying to, again, this is actually a multi-regional effort to try and prevent aquatic invasive species from coming into the state.
I disagree, but that's okay. I believe it's an absolute infringement on our Fourth Amendment rights to stop people and mandatorily make them stop. And the fact that I've seen several videos of people getting stopped and the boats aren't even looked at; they're just asked questions.
Well, there's a level. And is okay if we have a discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Well, and I actually, my name's Captain Eric Anderson.
I'm Jana.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And I run the program. I oversee it. And I actually am one of the persons that helped draft our RCW. Okay. And we took the Fourth Amendment well into concern. We worked through our Attorney General's office on this.
I researched how the law got implemented, who was behind putting the lawyers together to get the law in place. Well, there's a lot of entities at work that put in place a law. It's not like you just say, hey, this is my recommendation, and it gets put in front of someone.
Yeah. And so, like, one of the things that again, because there's been some consternation about that this is a huge infringement on the Fourth Amendment. And one of the things is I'm a huge proponent of our Constitution and on the rights of the citizens. You got no bigger proponent of it than me. Okay. But one of the things is with the Fourth Amendment is it is not an absolute guarantee against all searches and seizures. And if you read it, actually it even says unreasonable searches and seizures. Correct. And so one of the things that the court has weighed is what is the overall benefit to the general public for certain things. And when you look at motor vehicles, they are further, I'm not going to say exempted, but they are further, have less protections. But you still must have reasonable suspicion, even as a police officer. You must have a reason to pull them over. Okay, well, and number one, on these, our number one thing that we are trying to stop from coming into this state is zebra and quagga mussels. And that is public enemy number one. To a vista and to people. No. This is, and again, this is one of the things. I've actually watched some of the YouTube videos that you guys have posted. I don't even know who a Vista is. And could you Vista is a power company, and it uses water to generate its power, and these zebra mussels are clogging up their waterways and their tubing systems. Well, it's actually they're not. Can I ask though, what zebra mussel, what is it affecting? What ecology is the zebra mussel damaging? Where we don't have them. That's why we're trying to stop. Okay, so everyone has to stop. Because of, and I looked into the numbers, there's 12 vessels that were found with it. Yes. And all that money over in Idaho and all that time and making people stop for 12 different, that is not numbers that make me feel like our Fourth Amendment, it needs to go to the side for. Have you looked into what the zebra mussels have done in the other waterways in America? Yes, I have. It's over $5 billion a year. Then you contain it there. Why are... That's what we're trying to. But that's what we're trying to. Okay, these things can live out of water on boats for up to 30 days. Okay. So again, a boat can be across America in less than a week. And so and a lot of people do not check their boats. I have on video on my car. I was coming out of the chicken place over here, the new gas station. He went right by you. Well, and what I'm saying too, it runs till 5. Or even earlier, you know, and these are issues that, so everyone has to stop if they're running between these hours, but not so much if after. I think it should be about education. This is my whole thing. That's one of the things, and some of the commentary that you and I assume Corey have talked about. Our technicians do most of the stop. Those are not law enforcement officers. I understand. I understand that. They are educating the public, saying, hey. That haven't looked at the boats, though, as well, you know, and it's about inspection, not asking questions of the public. He said it hasn't been in the water. So all anyone has to say is it hasn't been in the water. No. Again, there is, we do ask questions, and I will quantify, because Corey has talked about, hey, you don't have to answer questions. Based on the law, if a person pulls in and says, I don't want to talk to you, we don't talk to them. We don't talk to them. Okay. And that's okay. It's based on the inspection. And so then, but when we do ask them, okay, where was this boat last? Because again, we want to assess the threat that that boat could potentially do.
And I think if you want to answer those questions, you should answer those. I love the water, and I understand. I am not, and we get plenty of hate from people saying you don't care about the environment. It's absolutely not the truth. I follow the money, and I follow where it starts, what is gathered by it, and if you look at it, it's documentation. And I think it may be documentation that helps this problem particular, but it is not going to solve the problem. And you just said that they're not here. So they're not here yet.
And that's the thing. We're trying. This is the Columbia River Basin is the largest river basin in America that doesn't have these. And we have the most to lose. I'm not, and like I said, I don't know who Avista is. What I'm trying to protect is there's 4 major things that these things will do if they get into the Columbia River system. Okay. Number 1, I'm with Fish and Wildlife. Take a look and do a little research on what they have done to the ecosystem of the Great Lakes. They are completely destroying that ecosystem. They take it over. They reproduce. If they get into the water and start reproducing, they reproduce. They have the ability to spawn and produce 1 million larvae in one spawning season. If the temperatures are right, they can do multiple spawning seasons every year. And they can exponentially take over the waterways. Then what they start doing is they filter the water, and they are such an efficient water filterer that they've calculated out that every liter of the Great Lakes water is filtered through zebra and quagga mussels in a 24-hour period. And that starts affecting the total food web. They have been having problems. The Great Lakes used to be very productive fishery lakes.
No, I get it.
And that's starting to go down. These things are also biomagnifiers. So if there's any toxins, I mean, there's a lot of toxins in the water. They filter it and they concentrate it in their tissues. And then if there are any other animals that eat these things, it caused major. They had a huge waterbird die-off in the Great Lakes to zebra and quagga mussels. So that's the environmental, and we have endangered salmon runs in the Columbia River and Snake River system. That could be the final nail in their coffin if these mussels get in here. Because one of the things, our major spawning area of the Hanford Reach, if zebra mussels got in there, what they do is they actually completely cover the spawning grounds to the point that the salmon can't spawn anymore. And so, again, this is my concern is trying to, number 1, protect the ecosystem. So then number 2...
I don't think you're trying to be a threat. I'm not coming from that. I just see how rights are incrementally infringed on in the name of this, and that. And then pretty soon, all of a sudden, well, you have to protect... It's protectionism, and I understand it. But at the same time, I'm here to protect my rights, and I have a right to do that. And I have a right to question the whole thing from top to bottom. And I do. And I'm not a biologist, sir. And what you're saying makes sense to me. If this is the impetus, this is what happens with them, this is what they're destroying, this is how we're trying to stop it. I get wanting to stop it. I just don't think I quite get stopping everyone.
Well, and again, we're not, there's the kicker too on it. We're not stopping everyone.
It says mandatory.
But we're not stopping, there's 99% of all the other traffic.
Sure, but what about those people who have waiters? I mean, and so what's the,
now this is one of the other things. I would love to have help from the public, because again, Corey's commented about this is what you're doing is absolutely, this is crazy. You should do it someplace else. Well, how would we do it? Because one of the things that it is this is a numbers game, just like what you said. We're looking for those needle in a haystack. It's about 1 out of every 5,000 boats that could carry. But the problem with that is the one gets through and it's over with. And so we have a limited amount of funds to do this program. And so one of the things, there's over 41 different routes into Washington. There's thousands of lakes and thousands of boat launches.
A lot.
So I have a budget to run an operation of about $300,000 a year. And so how do I cover 41 routes?
You can't, and that's my point.
Okay. And so the thing of it is, though, this is strategically the #1 access point into Washington from our biggest threat area, which is the Great Lakes. So to try to
no, I get the placement. I get, and sir, I understand your stance and where you're coming from, and I don't think. I guess my stance is I don't think that it's purposeful. that I just want people to think about it. It's not always about, well, the government says it's a good idea, so go ahead and do it. And I think that people have a right to question just that on its merits alone, let alone the fact that you're saying mandatorily, if I don't pull over, you're going to cite me for that.
No, and actually, we could. Okay,
you could.
This is another.
That's
thing.
what I'm saying. You could.
Again, this is where I'd like to visit with you guys and get it. If you look at how our check station law is written out, okay, one of the things that we are doing, we could, if you pull in, number one, you're exempt from the criminal prosecution. If you pull in, so this is one of the other things. To bring zebra aquatic missiles into the state of Washington is a gross misdemeanor.
I understand.
And not only is it a gross misdemeanor, there is a statute in there that if we can tie it back to your boat, you're responsible for the civil liability for the cleanup.
I get that.
And again, one of the things, every single one of these dams on the Columbia River, and I'm not protecting them for Vista, I'm protecting them for the citizens of the state of Washington. There was a study done that it would be $25 million in maintenance per dam on the river if these things get in it. That passes down to the citizens of the state of Washington.
Of course it does.
People, again, it's going to be passed.
It's always where the buck stops.
So again, the thing of it is if somebody pulls in and we can clean their boat, we go, okay. Granted, it would have been if you would have came in and you would have passed, you could have got cited with a gross misdemeanor, and if we tried it back to you, you could be liable for millions of dollars. But instead, we just want to simply clean your boat, make sure the boat's not a threat, and then we'll let you go. And even on the people that pass, if we have an officer, and we can't staff this with an officer 24/7.
Of course not.
We can't. The money's not there. But when we do have an officer here, if a boat goes past, the officer's first thing is to stop them and direct them back to the station and say, please, we'd like you to go back to the station. We don't want to cite you. We just simply want to inspect the boat.
And my fear is what escalates if they don't, and it's just, it's a slippery slope of, but I don't have to, you don't have reasonable articulable suspicion to direct me to go anywhere, and I don't know if you saw the video, but the detective, Liberty Lake detective actually was, and I've talked to him since then, or heard a conversation since then, and
But again, there's two different law enforcement entities there. You're talking
about
the general.
What I'm saying is they don't like the fact that you're saying we have to stop. So if I live over here and I want to go over here, I have to go 2 times. I have to pass through your checkpoint. It's mandating that law-abiding citizens are going to do it. People who don't care aren't going to do it anyway. They aren't going to care. So I just think making sure that law-abiding citizens obey the law and still let all of the other people run through after the hours of 5, before the hours of 8.
Now again, one of the other things
I saw a tugboat at 4 o'clock in the morning go right down the highway. But
again, if you let me explain. Okay, I have a certain amount of money to try and
that's my point.
So one of the things that
it seems like throwing good money after bad, because it's not going to solve the problem. I know that you're trying to do the best you can to be a safety net. My point is, all this money is going toward a safety net that I don't see how is going to solve the problem, given the fact that you say you don't have enough money and you don't have enough manpower to staff it the way it should be.
But again, this is one of the things that we're working towards. This is a program.
More money from the citizens, another problem I have.
Well, again, one of the things that this program right now is paid for most by watercraft owners.
And I understand that. I think they want to pass what Idaho passed. Now, if you have my kayak, if I want to go into Idaho waterways, I have to get an aquatic species invasive tag.
They've had that in Idaho.
I know. Yeah, I'm from Idaho.
I know. The other thing, again, this isn't Washington just going rogue. Again, this
I understand that. There's a lot of people who are for this. I get it, and I'm not saying the road to hell was paved with good intentions. I don't think the intentions are bad. That's not my point. My point is what gets lost in the shuffle is a lot of times a lot of damn money and a lot of rights that people don't know that they have a right to stand and say, you don't have to pull over. Even though your law says I do, and I don't want cops surrounding me and saying I have to get out of my car because I didn't pull over. You can't tell me that's not going to happen, number one. I mean, that's just a silly argument to say, well, we can do it, but we're not going to. Or we haven't been doing it. We can. My fear is when you can. And then what happens? And then so I know you don't want precedent. I know for a fact that you don't want legal precedent on the matter of the 4th Amendment. And so I think that that's why you go ahead and write the law the way it is and then let them go through when you feel like you'll have a fight on your hands.
Actually, I'd love you to do a little more research.
I will. I absolutely will.
Again, And one of the
and you give up your rights when you pull over. That's basically, in essence, what you're saying is you're submitting to your search when you pull over. You're submitting to that law when you pull over. Am I right?
It's a state law.
Okay.
It's a state law.
So that's my point.
One of the other things, again, if you do a little research, like I said,
I'm still researching it. It's new to me. This whole, I live nearby. It's an interesting topic to me, and I am continually researching it.
Well, look up the Fourth Amendment, and then see how it. Again, there's actually.
I understand the Fourth Amendment.
Look at Lister versus Illinois, 2004, and you'll find that the Supreme Court has rendered that certain specialized law enforcement concerns don't need that.
Correct. I have read that.
And
actually,
again,
they're over there.
Okay.
Yep, straight through.
Yeah. Men's right there.
Right there.
Right there. and so again, and the other thing, like I said, because of this, we have narrowed it down to we're not going through people's cars.
What if I have a vessel at my home that I transport in my truck, in my camper. I'm not going to let you into my camper and pull my vessel out.
Then there's nothing we can do about it.
You're telling me you're not going to call anyone and you're not going to argue with it.
If you come in here and say,
then I guess I just still don't understand. Then I could have those muscles all over my stuff. So what's the point?
Generally, well, and again, there is when we ask the people and we talk to them. And again, they don't have to ask them questions. One of the things is we ask certain questions to address the threat. I will tell you right off the bat, zebra mussels are not a huge threat to waders. They're not a huge threat to rafts. Things get drained. The bigger threat are boats that are large boats that have been moored and these things attach. So again, if you
I understand, and that's what I'm saying. I wish I had it on video. I did not have my car with the camera, and I saw a tugboat.
Well, and
with out-of-state plates, and so to me, it just seems. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're throwing a drop into a bucket, as far as I'm concerned.
One of the things we're also doing, we are trying to manage our dollars to get the most bang for our buck, and so. Right now, we are operating at those hours because from March until June,
I get the season.
We have less traffic.
Sure.
When June comes around,
sure.
Now we are going to open the station and we are going to run from 5 to 10. And so again, we are trying to stretch dollars to do the biggest safety net that we can.
I guess I'm saying I understand your stance. All I'm asking is you understand ours. That I just don't like rolling over. Well, the government said it was okay. I will look into everything, and Corey's done the majority of the research, and I plan to do plenty of my own. I really have a problem when I've seen what I've seen, and especially several times they don't look at the boats, and it just seems very.
Again, one of the things
if you're there, couldn't you just walk around and check it out? I mean, if that's what you're there for.
Now again, you're making an assumption. We do have people that come in here on a daily basis. And we do have a local, again, one of the things that we're trying to do is not inconvenience the public. And so when we have a local boater program where we have people that are...
That makes sense. That's a reasonable explanation.
We let them go through.
That is a reasonable explanation.
So again, one of the things that we are trying to do, we are trying to educate the public.
I really hope that's the truth.
That is our biggest fight in this, is trying to get...
I'm all for education.
Have you seen our display on the other side?
Yep.
Okay. One of the biggest mantras that we're trying to get folks to do with their boats is clean, drain, and dry. And if a boat comes in that is spotless and been maintained, the inspection is that. And again, we base the risk. People don't have to ask.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm glad to hear that.
But we're also still trying to, when we do ask them questions, it's specifically
I understand
to try
that too.
and address the threat. And
I get it.
Also, we're trying to also figure out what are major targets where a lot of boat traffic.
Where is it?
And we work with other partners. Like we have an MOU now with Lake Roosevelt National Rec Area, because we know that's one of our #1 destinations up there. And the park is actually working to try and do some inspections to try and keep the mussels.
And that's what I think too. I think at places where people are going, make sure that information is there before you put in, have you been here? You know, ask these questions maybe before. I don't know. I am of the mind it's the same thing with guns. Well, some bad people did some bad things with this gun. Now we got to take all of them from everyone.
Again, I agree with
well, no, I'm not talking specifically about guns. I'm just saying that idea. Well, now everyone has to submit to this because of a few bad apples in the cart. And I have a problem with that, especially when, I'm sorry, government is behind it. Well, I have a problem with it. Well, I don't hate anyone. I don't have ill will toward anyone. I'm just looking to protect rights and expose what I can expose as far as waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm not saying that's what I'm seeing here. I'm investigating it. I'm looking into it. And I just generally don't like mandatory, must stop. You must exit this freeway and you must stop. That is my #1 problem with it, sir. My #1 problem.
And I can agree with you. You can have that. But again, the one thing I'm trying to do, I'm trying to protect the environment.
And I appreciate it.
And I'm trying to protect Washington citizens, believe it or not.
I do believe that. I do believe that.
I want to get a couple other points on these things.
Go right ahead, please do.
If they get into the waterway, #1, the ecosystem's going to be, it could be drastically altered. It could
irreparably damaged. I understand what you're saying.
It will affect every power user in the state of Washington.
For sure.
So your bills could go through
For sure.
the roof. Washington is an agriculture-based state. What do they need for agriculture?
I know water, and that's what we've looked into too. It seems to be diverted. It's very important that this water get diverted to these.
And the thing of it is if these things start getting in, there's over 29 irrigation districts that pull water from the Columbia River system alone.
Correct.
Each single one of those serves dozens of farms.
I know, we looked into that.
These things, they cover and clog pipes and pumps so full that the whole systems get destroyed. So all of a sudden, your $1 loaf of bread from the Washington wheat farmer, now because of all the things the farmers have to do, now that goes up to $3 to $5.
Of course.
Okay? And then the other thing that comes into play is not only that, what about the municipal water supplies that draw, again, we have cities that actually draw the drinking water. And if one of those pipes gets plugged by these things, it's several $1 million to replace it. And then not only that, they do have some type of prophylactic efforts in it where they could put a heavier chlorine system, but that costs money, and then the citizens get really nasty tasting water on top of that. So again,
I'm not an advocate for putting anything like that in the water, for sure.
So again, one of the things, we are trying our best, and this is right now the absolute most logical spot to inspect most boats coming in to try and stop these things from coming in. So
I agree with you.
If folks like you have other ideas to help us, I would love to have it.
Okay.
But again, our purpose here is not trying to infringe upon people's rights. We're trying to do it as with as least amount of inconvenience as possible. We're only targeting boats. We're not targeting the whole entire general population.
No, I know. I understand that.
And
I understand that.
Again, that's one of the things. And a lot of the people, and I do want to address one other thing.
Please.
Because like Corey had a video about people down at the POE, and his commentary was, oh, they're holding him up for 10 minutes. A lot of the people that come in here get out of the cars and talk with us. And again, because our folks are giving them information about these things. A lot of people do not know what zebra and quagmoses are. And after they find out, the 99% of the public.
And I'm going to tell you, when you hear commentary, you got to understand these are not scripted. This is us going out. This is new for us too. It's nerve-wracking doing what we do with this camera. I am not enjoying it. It's not, I mean, when I say that, I mean, I'm nervous. I don't always know what to say. When people like Corey are out there commenting, and he's maybe making a comment on time that person was out there, he's coming from a place this guy was made to be here, and look how long he's been here. He doesn't have all the facts. He doesn't know the conversation that's going on there, and we understand that. We are not perfect either. We're not claiming anyone be perfect. We're asking for transparency, and that's why we put these videos up. This is going to go up, and you're absolutely going to have everyone hear what you said. And that's good, because you wanted to say some things, and they're going to hear it, and they're going to comment on it. We get crap comments from people all the time. You should have said this. You shouldn't have said that. Why'd you say this? You're an idiot for that. We don't know everything. We're here asking questions. We're doing the best research we can, but you got to understand too, when he first came out here, nobody would talk to him. He got doors slammed in his face and cops called on him. And that's another reason, I'm going to tell you too, I have a very not nice video that I took of Sergeant Taylor that we put clips of, but the disparaging remarks that I am not proud of, that I wish I didn't say, I left out, because I'm not perfect either, but I don't like officials not answering and then walking away when you're trying to make a complaint, and then slamming doors and not identifying when it is your job to identify, and they can't tell me I can't put them on camera. Look that up. Look that up, because that's 100%.
Actually, again, you can put them on camera.
Yes.
The thing in Washington, though, is No, I'm exempt.
Personal,
because I'm a
personal conversations if it's within earshot, and I've looked into the case law on this because I do this.
Well, it's a two-party consent statement.
Correct.
And so one of the things
for private conversations,
for me, I'm a public official. I'm a law enforcement, so I'm exempt. You can record me all you want, but it's actually the state of Washington has afforded the protections of the private citizens to civilian employees.
For private conversations.
No, for civilian employees too.
I will look into that, but I looked into the law when I talked to, Don Ron. Is that his name? He was a captain. I spoke to someone. Dan Ron. Thank you, Dan Ron. And he had me look into that law, and it specifically states it's about private conversations, and it is not. I mean, because we go into public buildings where there are employees of the state, and they can't give me any kind of privacy suit or anything like that.
What they can do is they can say, because of the fact that Washington is a two-party consent state, to record the audio. That's what I'm getting. You can record the images and the video all you want. But when it comes to the audio, they can say,
I think that we'll agree to disagree. I think you're misinterpreting the law. Okay. But my proof of that is no one's getting hemmed up or locked up when cops show up, and because they would be if that was the case. If that was a law that they actually could hem these people up on, I guarantee you they'd be hemming them up on it. Promise you. Okay. I promise you. Okay. So we'll just leave it at that. That's not my issue right now. It's not the recording. We're not trying to be assholes. The reason we were upset is the stalemate, the lack of, screw you, I don't have to answer your questions. I don't have to tell you. It's not okay. We don't like it. And especially when you're telling me I have to pull over and you're not going to answer my questions, it's a problem. It's a problem.
I would hope you put it in a person's shoes that is a technician.
I understand.
That doesn't make a lot of money. And
I understand.
Somebody puts a camera in their face.
I do get it.
You're violating citizens' rights.
I get it. I get it.
It's a little daunting.
I get it.
I'm a big boy. I can take it.
I know.
And that's why I wanted to come out.
And I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I'm not confrontational. I'm a very nice person. I give the shirt off my back even to someone that disgusted me. But I get ire when my rights I feel are being infringed, and I can't help but when officials, and I question that, give me the treatment that we initially got. I'm not talking about now, and I'm not talking about since then. But initially, it's what set it off. And everything is in the approach, and if you saw any of our other videos, you would see that we've actually had officers say that they've used our videos as training videos, how not to approach a citizen, because it does escalate the situation. Well, if you can just, a little sugar does go a long way, especially with people like me.
I do want to thank you guys for something, believe it or not, because one of the things, when we were down at the port of entry, and we were down at the port of entry the last 2 years, and again, one of the things that why we worked with, this is a multi-agency cooperation. We're working with Spokane County Parks and DOT, which owns the rest area, to come in. When we were working down at the port of entry, there was no public access to what they were doing, but the problem with it was dangerous for the boats. The boats actually had to go through the scales, exit into the back, and then we do the inspection. Then they had to re-exit and go through the scales. And so this looked like a perfect thing to help protect our folks. But one of the things that we didn't even think about was the fact that we're sharing it with the citizens, that we could have people walk in
and walk across.
Where we got people towing boats coming in.
I get it.
And so that was one of the things we're like, we never even thought about.
I get it.
That's why we do actually have the safety zone, because a lot of people that tow boats,
sure,
we don't know how they drive.
I know, I got you. Not everyone is used to, that might be a new experience. Towing anything is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and so you opened our eyes to that, and actually that was the reason we were going, hey, wait a minute, there's a huge liability with people walking into
I get that. No, especially you're dealing with the state, of course, there's going to be huge liability. You got to take care of yourselves, and you guys got to cover your butts. I understand that. I totally get it. Well, thank you for talking to me, sir. I appreciate it.
And like I said, I hope you do. Our intent is to try and protect the citizens. And try to keep, our number one is zebra and quagga mussel. We're trying to keep them out of the water. This is actually a citizen effort. There is a Washington
State I know there's a lot of citizen.
Washington State Invasive Species Council. We actually had a citizen fact-finding committee to work through this stuff. So again, it's an effort that there is a lot of support. I am a full supporter of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I don't like infringing on people's rights, and we're trying to do this in as least. And
I believe that. I believe that from you. I do. All right. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks again for checking out Questionable Authority. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with all your family and friends. If you haven't subscribed already, do it now and click the bell so you get notified of new content. Know your rights. Knowledge is power, my friends.